Well, what's up, guys? Hopefully you all have a good day. So tonight I thought I would do an interesting little video. I thought I would do a review of WWE 2K25. So yeah, I just should say the new era has officially begun. Obviously 2K25 has now fully launched. Obviously, I've been playing the game. I've already been playing the game for just over a week. Obviously, I pre-ordered it, so I got 7 days early access. And I think, to be honest with you, I think it's kind of become clear that those that pre-order the game are like 2K's beta testers, as you very much were. Um, I mean, obviously for me, I think WWE 2K25, it's not a horrible game. It obviously, I don't know, I wouldn't say it was the best 2K game by any standards, but I think it's not a bad game. I mean, is it really worth the 120 quid that they were charged? Because obviously, the fact that they were charging so much, obviously, for the deluxe, obviously for the Dead Man and Bloodline editions, it's like, oh, that is it actually worth paying all of that money? And I would say it's probably not. It's definitely not worth paying 120 quid for it. I think I'm starting to realize now that I probably should have just paid the £60 and got it on the 14th of March rather than gone for the early access, because that was the only real reason that I pre-ordered the Bloodline edition. I guess there was two reasons. One was that it was so that I got the season pass and I got the DLC for free, and I don't know, which means at no additional cost. So when obviously as soon as the DLCs are released, I would obviously be able to. I am one of those people who will be able to download the DLCs completely for free. Obviously I won't have to pay any additional cost for them. Because obviously I got the season pass with the deal, obviously with the game when I pre-ordered the game. Um, Also, I pre-ordered it basically for the early access, obviously for the week early access. I'm surprised it was a week this year because I'm sure if I remember correctly, last year I think last year the early access was only about 3 or 4 days. Last year, I could be wrong on that, but I'm sure I certainly don't remember the early access being a week last year, being a week early last year. I thought, well, I believe it was only a few days early access that we got last year. Um, I mean, there were a few noticeable issues, like CM Punk. There was a typo on his shirt. It was supposed to say best in the world, but it said best I am the world, so it said I am instead of IN. I mean, there's not really been too many game breaking issues, I would say, apart from the fact that there's like no most recent tab on community creations. You've got the most downloaded, and I think the other one is most liked. I believe it is. But it's like we need the most recent tab. It would make things easier. For me, I think that I do like the roster for WWE 2K25. I think the roster's stacked this year. I think some of the arenas look really good. I've been enjoying my rise so far. Even 2K Showcase hasn't been too bad. I've seen a lot of people talking about the Money in the Bank match, and I am up to that match in Showcase. Um, I mean, obviously, for me, and I played a little bit of the island as well, but again, that's not something that I would really put a lot of time into. Like, I won't, I'm not someone that's going to put a lot of time um, into the island and things like that. I don't really put that much time into my faction. That's not really something that interests me, to be honest. To be honest, I only really go into my faction to redeem codes and things like that. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. The only reason I do. I go into my faction. My faction just isn't really of any interest to me, if I'm being honest. I'm somebody that's more, I mean, I don't even really do universe modes or anything like that. I'm someone that's more interested in kind of my rise stuff and the 2K showcase stuff, than anything else. I think one of the biggest complaints for me this year is DLC. So Joe Hendry hasn't made it into DLC despite the fact that there were teasers for him. So I don't know why they teased the wrestler being in the game if he wasn't gonna be in there. In one of the teasers we saw fans wearing shirts that had the name Hendry on it. So that was obviously a teaser for Joe Hendry. But we didn't get him in the game. Now, one of the other noticeable absences from DLC is NXT's Zarya. Now, obviously, this confuses me because Penta has made it into the DLC, and don't get me wrong, I love the fact that Penta has made it in as DLC. I think that's really good news. But I'm a little bit confused as to how a wrestler that only has sort of came into WWE in January, around early January, has made it into DLC. But a wrestler that's been in the WWE since late October hasn't made it into the game. So that's the thing. Penta only arrived in the WWE around early January time, and he has made the cut. Yet Zarya has been with WWE since late October, and she's not in the game. She's not even DLC. Like, I don't get that. The thing that pisses me off with the DLC this year is the fact that we're getting celebrities and NBA stars in the WWE game. Like, to be honest, I just don't feel like we need celebrities in a wrestling game, and we don't need NBA stars in a wrestling game. If I want to play as the NBA stars, I'll go and play I'll go and play NBA 2K. I don't play NBA. I don't play WWE 2K25 to play. I don't want to be playing WWE 2K25 to be playing as bloody NBA stars. Like why did 2K think that we needed NBA stars in the game? I get that some of the NBA stars have appeared on the WWE shows and things like that, but I don't think that necessarily means they should be DLC. You know, the reason I'm not happy about that is because it feels like these celebrities and NBAs stars that we don't need in the game are taking away DLC slots from superstars that probably should have been in the game as DLC. You know, it's like again, nobody in the world. No, I don't think there was a single person who even asked for NBA stars to be in 2K25 in WWE 2K25. Nobody asked for that. This is just them trying. This is just them being sly. And doing what they did last year with the Pat McAfee Show DLC pack. They've obviously not learned from that because they've basically done the same thing again, basically giving us a load of DLC. Well, they're giving us stuff in the DLCs that we didn't even ask for. Nobody wants celebrities in a wrestling game. Nobody wants NBA stars in a wrestling game. I bet obviously I know that a lot of people. I've seen a few people saying that they were disappointed that the Hardy Boys weren't DLC, but I think the problem with the Hardy Boys is that they're not currently under contract with WWE. I think if they were under contract with WWE, they probably would have made it into the game. But then you're thinking, well, shouldn't they have made it into the game? Obviously, as a part of this kind of WWE TNA collaboration, would have been cool if we had gotten as I think a lot of people, there were a lot of predictions that there was going to be like a TNA themed DLC pack as it were, but we're not getting. Obviously, that's not something that we're getting. Obviously we are getting, names like Jordan Race, Julia, Stephanie Backer, Penta, the Motor City Machine Guns, Born at Hana, we're getting all those names in as DLC, which is nice. I'm thinking that might be the similar situation with Joe Hendry as well. Maybe it's a situation where he's not under contract with WWE, so they didn't have him in the game. I'm surprised they've got Billy Gunn in this DLC because Billy Gunn obviously is appearing in AEW, and I think he's actually still under contract with AEW. So the fact that they've included him in the game, I'm also very surprised, and I think a lot of people are probably very surprised by the fact they've included New Jack as DLC. I don't think anybody ever expected somebody like New Jack to appear in the game. I don't know if there's a reason why he's been included as DLC, but I do find that interesting because that was a name that I don't think anybody had predicted was going to be DLC this year. But there you go. Obviously, we're getting the returns of Mark Henry, we're getting Ray Harley, we're getting names like Junkyard Dog in as DLC this year. So it looks like the DLCs are going to be coming out between May and November, which I think is the same as what it was last year. It's the May to November. It's sort of spread out from May right through to November. I don't have a problem with that personally. I didn't think that they were going to change that. I didn't think that the DLC release dates were going to be different this year, and that it was going to be spread out from May through to November again. I think we all knew that was going to be the case. For me, gameplay. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna, talk badly about the gameplay because for me, I think the gameplay is very, very good. Some of there are some superstar models that do look quite bad, to be honest. I think Sheamus is one of those, one of the names that I think has certainly been done dirty in WWE 2K25. Like, if you compare his model in WWE 2K25 to WWE 2K24, there's a big difference. His model in WWE 2K24 genuinely looks so much better than his model for 2K25. You know, I think certain names like Cody Rhodes doesn't look too bad. CM Punk looks pretty good. Some of the big names do look pretty good. Most of the big names do look pretty good. There is one thing that does bother me, and there are a lot of wrestlers in the game that basically have the exact same attires as they had in 2K24. Like, obviously Dragon Lee has the same attire from last year's game. Rey Mysterio has the same attire. Nia Jax has the same attire. Irie Sane has the same attire. I don't know about Lyra, about Hero. I don't know if she has the same attire as the one that she had in last year's game. But there are a lot of names that as I said before, as I did a video talking about this before, and I said it's pure laziness from 2A. They've done very, very well in certain areas with the game, but in other areas they have been very lazy. And that this is one of those areas where we need to see that improve. It's it's quite disappointing when you load up a new game and you're seeing so many wrestlers that basically have the exact same attires that they had in the previous game and they haven't even been updated. I don't. Obviously, it's just baffling. The other thing that doesn't make sense to me, right? We have the NX, we have like the women's mid card titles in the game, but we don't have the updated NXT championships, like the updated NXT men's and women's titles in the game. Like, obviously, it would have been very easy for them to obviously add the women's mid card titles into the game, as all they had to do was change the color of the titles from black to white. That would have been a very easy thing to do. That's not the hardest but the most difficult thing in the world. For me, if I had to score WWE 2K25, I would say a 7.5 out of 10. As I said, there are a few things that I'm not impressed with, to be honest. Hopefully with the patches that come out this year, hopefully they don't bring out any patches that cause anything, to, fit certain things, only to then break other things. As that was the problem with a lot of the patches that came out for WWE 2K24. Obviously, 2K24, 2K were releasing a lot of patches for WWE 2K24, and every time they were fixing certain issues, these patches were causing other things to go wrong. And I don't want to see a repeat. I don't think anyone wants to see a repeat of that for 2K25. I don't think anybody wants WWE 2K25 to end up going bad the way 2K24 did. Because obviously WWE 2K24 started off really well. It started off as a really good game. Everybody loved the game, but around but literally only the 6 months down the line, people's opinions of the game are very, very different because there were so many things by that point. There were so many things in the game that were broken and hadn't been fixed, and obviously weren't going to be fixed. PS2K obviously didn't give a shit. Didn't give a shit. I mean, obviously, I think there was, I was optimistic about this game. I was excited to play it, see what it was going to be like, especially with some of the new match types we've got in the game. I think the one thing I do like with 2K25 is we have like multiple backstage areas to choose from now rather than just the one. I feel like that makes backstage rules more exciting, more interesting now. Um, but yeah, I mean, things have started. I won't say that things have started off horrendously for 2K25. Things have started off on good terms. Hopefully, things will continue to go well for 2K25, and hopefully, they don't release anything. They don't release any patches that causes new issues. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's my review done for WWE 2K25. Maybe in a few months, time, I might actually do another review of the game to see if anything has changed and see if things have improved between now and let's say June, July time. I suppose my opinion by that point will be very different. I don't know if it will. I don't know for definite if it will be different, but obviously, right now, my opinion on it is that is somewhat positive. I mean, there are a few minor negatives, but for me, my opinion on the game is genuinely quite positive right now, and I hope that it will stay positive. I don't want to have to be, extremely negative about the game, but as I really was extremely negative about WWE 2K24. I was so, pissed off with that game eventually, and I mean, I don't want to end up like that with 2K25. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching my review, and I'll catch you later. Bye bye.